Hi, I'm just sharing a video link here, which I'll leave under the link under this video. I'll leave the link to it from the Ring of Fire. It's, I did suspect it all along that, as Farron explains here, a former apprentice staffer says Trump is a speed freak who snorts Adderall. He does go on to describe how Trump treated the women on the show, which is absolutely despicable. So, like I say, check this link out. It's only 4 minutes long, just over 4 minutes long. And towards the end of it, he advertises this Skillshare, which is actually quite brilliant. For people that are interested in learning new skills and stuff. So, but anyway, so huge thanks to Farron of Ring of Fire explaining, sharing this information with us, and the former staffer who was on The Apprentice, Noel Castler, unleashed a bombshell about the president's personal life this past weekend during a show he was performing. And he did explain that this wasn't part of his act, this wasn't a joke, he was quite serious. He says Kessler claimed that Trump is a speed freak who likes to crush up Adderall and snort it, which explains his erratic and manic behaviour. So look, this is Adderall, oral uses. Now, if somebody's snorting it, then they've got a serious addiction, because that's like an instant fix. It's going straight to the brain. Now, it is amphetamine, and it is usually used to treat ADHD. So I know all about it because I have a nephew who had ADHD, and he's had to, wean himself off this stuff. It has a different effect on children, but unfortunately, if they're taking it from childhood, they develop an addiction to it, and so they carry on taking it in adulthood. And there are varying strengths of it that you can get, so goodness knows what strength Trump is on, especially if he's snorting it. Now, because of the problems that my family endured when we were children, a couple of members of my family have had serious speed addictions, and I mean serious. And so I understand all about speed. I understand the effects it has on people. I understand how it makes them behave. Everything. And one of the things that I do understand, and I know this because my own brother has explained it to me and my sister, is that the way the speed addiction works is that you become addicted to the person. You develop what's known as a speed persona. A speed persona. And the speed persona is what you become addicted to. So you become addicted to the person that you are when you're on speed. And the only way you can be that person is by taking more speed, you see. And when you're not taking speed, you're not that person. And so you're stuck with yourself that you're unhappy with. That's why you've taken speed or drugs, to try and move out of that mind frame. And that is the way it works. Now, if this is true, and Farron does give some degree of how it can be verified here, but like I say, I'll leave you to watch his video and what he has to say about it. And do check out Ring of Fire videos. Subscribe to them. They're really, he gives some really good information, quick, professional, and he is a sound guy. I recognise that he speaks from his soul. You know what I mean? He's not just doing a show. And I love his other guy that he's with sometimes, Mike. I think, is it Papenteo? he is completely brilliant as well, and they've done a couple of videos recently about Johnson and Johnson putting putting asbestos. It's asbestos is in their baby talc, and also about Monsanto and the glyphosates, I think it is, that's in there, and how it's in everything. It's contaminated the wine, the bread, baby food, and it is really, really dangerous. It is. You've got to watch it. I'll leave you the two links about Johnson Johnson Baby, Ring of Fire, and also the Monsanto products. Please have a look at them, and especially people in Britain who are facing a possibly hard Brexit, some kind of food deal with the United States. So you need to check this out, okay, before you allow your government to start feeding you food from the United States. And don't forget, a lot of this stuff, Monsanto products, are banned in the EU. So, you know, there's some serious stuff going on in the world at the moment, and you really cannot afford to take your eyes off the ball if you're an adult and you've got children, especially if you're a parent, or if you care about this planet, if you care about the children of our planet. Okay, you have a duty as a intelligent human being to get aware and to get active. Inform others, take steps. You know, we have all got to pull our own weight now. And, you know, one of the most important things now is that people start to consider going vegan. You know, anybody, if you're concerned about the planet, do not talk to me about climate change or anything else if you're still eating meat and dairy. Just don't even mention it. Don't even go there. Because if you really cared, you would not be eating meat and dairy. Okay? Eggs, if you can get free range eggs, and you know the hens are being looked after properly, they're not suffering, okay? You know, unfertilised eggs, yeah, okay. But you make sure that there's no suffering involved in that. But, you know, milk, cheese, meat, all of these things, these creatures are just suffering so bad that really they'd be better off not being alive. Okay, that's the fact of it. The way that they're killed, slaughtered is absolutely abominable. The whole industry is abominable. And the methane is destroying our planet. Okay, now this is the kind of world that we're living in now that gets produced by cokeheads and speedheads, okay, and alcoholics, right? This this is the consciousness that is at the present in control of finance, in control of politics. Now we all remember George Osborne sat there tripping his head off. Come on, there's no two ways about it. Anybody who, I mean, I don't do hard drugs, okay? But I've met enough people who do them. Some of them recreationally, some of them have problems with them. But there was no doubt about it. George Osborne was sat in Parliament tripping his head off. There's no doubt about it that when tests were done, I think, was it by the Sun newspaper or somebody, did test all the toilets in the Houses of Commons, bore traces of cocaine. Yeah. When you've got people taking those kind of drugs, mind-altering drugs, to run the country, I'm sorry, you know, like, expect things to get really seriously out of order. Now, I feel really disturbed. You know, it has been a deep upset to me to witness just the misery and people dying and people taking their own lives and people getting ill and people becoming homeless and having to go, you know, to sort people out with food, and all of these things has just been, and it's just been heartbreaking, not only to be having to deal with that directly, to witness it, to also be addressing the bigger problems of this world, trying to inform people, because, you know, I'm in that position that I can do that, and because of my experiences, which have left me enlightened. You know, I know people don't think I'm mad because I talk about universal light being and say I witnessed this light being. I know that people think that I'm mad, but I'm sorry. Maybe I'm mad for even believing that I exist, because I mean, let's face it, how could this universe have created me? You know, and this planet and a star. It's all impossible, isn't it? So, you know, it's time for people to expand their minds outside of the BBC boxes. And now this is a really serious situation because, like I say, I've always suspected that Trump, when he says, I don't do drugs and I don't do alcohol, and I thought, I'm sorry, mate, you are doing something. Because I recognise it. I recognise it. So what it means now is that one of the most powerful nations on earth that is influencing my country, that Theresa May follows like a little poodle, you know, then what is now lodged at the White House is a speed persona. A speed persona is handling people's healthcare, is making national decisions. A speed persona, because he cannot be himself. He's a speed persona. Now, the one thing about speed personas is they've got a great big gaping hole where compassion, intellect, empathy, sound judgment comes into play. It just doesn't, okay? The speed persona has an objective of its own desires, because it's not a real entity. It isn't a real human spirit. It's something that's been concocted in a lab, okay? Because you're not talking, even cocaine is a natural product. But obviously, if you're going to give power mad people, criminals, with that mindset, cocaine, it just expands their ego and they feel all powerful. And yes, I can do, you know, again, it allows them to they cut out that bit. They become psychopathic. It allows them to become psychopathic. That's one thing I do know about cocaine. I don't like people who do cocaine. I don't. The moment I know somebody's doing cocaine or speed regularly, I avoid those people because I have witnessed it. I have witnessed the change in personality, and all is explained suddenly. Oh, right, so you're a speed addict. Right, now I understand. That's why sometimes when I meet you, you just seem really down and not very pleasant. And other times I meet you, it's like you're a completely different person and you're really friendly and engaging and interesting. But, oh, now I come to think about it, it is actually all about you. Now, I'm a kind of person, I find people immensely interesting and I love people. Okay, so if I'm quite happy to sit there and listen to somebody talk positively about themselves, you know, and show me all the things that they're doing. You know, look at this latest photo work I've done in Photoshop and blah 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 and wow wow wow, you know, and barely mention a word about myself. Whereas a lot of other people who have a bit more ego maybe would be thinking, this person is just very self-centered, you know, whereas that seems to pass by me, probably because I'm not very self-centered myself. I don't seem to, and I'm not saying it's a bad thing. I think everybody should be a bit self-centered, and that's part of my downfall in life, is that I'm just not self-centered enough. Okay, but I can't help it. It's the way I was raised, and you know, I did have a very abusive childhood, and I'm the eldest of 6 children. I wasn't allowed to think of myself. I had to think of my brothers and little brothers and sisters first. You know, everybody had to come first before me. So that's my mindset. That's like hardwired into me. So it's very difficult for me to, you know, it was difficult for me to recognise people as egotists, if you see what I mean, because it was like something alien to myself. I just seemed to expect accept that other people were more important than me, you see. That's how I was raised. And so, in a way, I've had the advantage of being able to be totally objective in observing the society and the people around me and absorbing it and being able to examine it objectively, because there's nothing of it actually touching me, you know, because I have never been part of that ego thing, you see. I've always just been me in my little space that's allowed to me. Okay. And so that is why I'm making this video now, is really to alert people. This, you know, this is so serious. What has been revealed here, it is a bombshell. It is absolutely serious. And now, if this is true, and it does sound like it is, and you know, Farron isn't the type of person would be coming out with this if he thought it was just, oh yeah, you know, some hearsay. The very fact that Ring of Fire is covering this is alert enough to me, because I have that much trust and faith, okay, in this show and the people that organise it. So that is a very serious matter, because, you know, like I say, we are talking about a speed persona operating, choosing staff, nominating justices of court. I'm sorry, no. If this is correct, this means that everybody that Trump has nominated, every decision that he has made, everything he has signed, it all has to be made null and void, and everything has to go back to square one. America needs another election immediately, because this is far, far too serious to ignore. It really is. Now, when you understand that the guy is a speed persona, then you understand why he can treat women like objects, pieces of meat, okay? Then you understand, because the guy has got a great big gaping hole where his humanity should be, where his respect should be, where his consideration, compassion, all of these things that make a human being. Now, the same goes for British Parliament. All the decisions that David Cameron were making, George Osborne tripping his head off. Don't forget that George Osborne's personal, what was it, senior advisor, his senior advisor was caught in a crack den. That's his senior advisor, and that guy was in charge of our whole economy. Now, when you know that George Osborne's senior advisor was caught in a crack den, crack cocaine, which is the very worst psychology, okay? And you see George Osborne sat there, literally tripping his head off in Parliament. And I'm just going to get you the link up now to show you. Right, okay, so here's the video. Just look at him. He is literally tripping his head off. I've seen it. He's coked out of his head. Coked out of his head. This is the man who was running Britain's finances, sending people to their graves with his economic terrorism. Okay? Top advisor to Chancellor. Filmed smoking coke in a crack cocaine in a drug's den out of a makeshift crack pipe, and then slumping dazed on a sofa in shocking footage. Well, we don't get to see the footage, do we? This is the guy who gets, you know, the police allowing to Downing Street. right? This is Parliament. Cocaine in the Parliament embarrassed by drug revelation. Okay. Illegal Class A drug in 9 locations in Parliament. After they were tipped off by a whistleblower. So why aren't these MPs being drug tested? Why are they not being drug tested? Why is the Chancellor of the Exchequer not being drug tested? He's running our economy. What about Theresa May? What about Cameron? All of them. All of them. Because, you know, when you're doing really responsible jobs, that putting you've got people's lives literally in your hands. And there's no drugs test. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. This country has gone. It isn't just this country though, is it? It isn't just this country. It is literally the whole world. It's the whole world has gone crazy. Crazy on this. And it's all on the back of prohibition, which was a criminal law. It should never have been imposed on us. It was bound to create hell on earth. It always was going to. Once you make an addictive substance illegal, anybody with even half a brain cell knew what was going to happen. And it's infected everything. It's just... I'm sorry, America, if you cannot understand how serious this is, that your president is a speed persona. Now, I know, because I've witnessed the effects on my family. I've witnessed how these speed personas operate, how cruel they can be, how ignorant, how selfish, how crazy, actually, with their perverse desires, because they don't take things into account, because they're not on the ball. I feel I am heartbroken, I really am. And to think that there's people in prison, there's people having the doors smashed in, there's children being terrorised in the home for the sake of a harmless plant. No, I'm sorry. People, if you're going to swallow this, why are you bringing children into this world? Please, please. Why? Are they toys? Have you brought them in because you just want a child to play with, to play at being mummy and daddy? Do you care? Do you care? Do you care about our planet? It is time for people to stand up and remove these monsters from power. We need law, we need respect, we need compassion, we need to be permitted, free to be a human being and live in a humane world.